Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2021 and welcome to your qualifying report for the 2021 Dutch Grand Prix. It's our first trip to Zandvoort in 35 years, and can I just start by saying, before we jump in to our results from today's qualifying session, what a circuit. Well done to Zandvoort, well done to the Netherlands. This track is an absolute beast, a mini Suzuka, a proper driver's circuit where margin for error is so minute. Anything that is not inch perfect, game over. And boy, did we see that today in a drama-filled session, and crikey, are we geared up for a great race for tomorrow's Dutch Grand Prix. As always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe. Spoiler warning for today's qualifying result, but without further ado, here is your grid. And for the first time in his Formula 1 career, it's Max Verstappen on pole position at his home Grand Prix. A first time of asking, and all weekend long, Max has been well and truly on it. And for most of the day, most of the weekend, it looks like Max was in a league of his own. But a great lap from Lewis Hamilton saw the British driver less than a tenth behind his championship rival. We've got a great fight on the opening lap, teed up for the race tomorrow. It's Valtteri Bottas in P3, a crucial result with Sergio Perez way outside the top 10 and Norris also not making it through to Q3. Another stunning lap from Pierre Gasly sees the Frenchman in 4th place on the second row of the grid again. What more does this man have to do to get a seat further up the grid? It's the two Ferraris in 5th and 6th, a much better day for them, but they'll be slightly disappointed. I think a few Ferrari fans and staff were hoping a pole position potentially was on the cards, but it's a blooming fantastic day for Ferrari Junior Antonio Giovinazzi, a career best equaling qualifying performance, 7th place for the man who currently does not have a seat for 2021. On a Saturday, he's doing all the right things, but as we know, on a Sunday, that's where it counts. A great opportunity for him to prove his worth in the race tomorrow. It's 8th and 9th for the two Alpine cars. Race winner this season, Esteban Ocon is 8th with two-time world champion Alonso, P9, and Daniel Ricciardo for just the 3rd time this season out-qualifies teammate Lando Norris and rounds out the top 10. George Russell in 11th place looked fantastic on paper, and with teammate Latifi in 14th, a great day for Williams turns into a day of what could have been. Two big incidents in Q2 causing red flags for both cars ended both of their sessions prematurely. And even though last weekend a rain-soaked Spa was the team's comfortably best weekend on a Saturday and Sunday of the season so far, in the dry, this is their best qualifying result. But again, when you have a car capable of getting through to Q3, it's not brilliant. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in our qualifying report. But elsewhere on the grid, Lance Stroll will line up P12, the lead Aston Martin for this weekend, and in front of Lando Norris. All of the drivers out in Q2 getting caught up with those two late red flags. Nicholas Latifi, as mentioned, was 14th, and Yuki Tsunoda, just like Norris, Stroll, Russell and Latifi, unable to set a final flying lap and will start the race tomorrow, P15. Red Bull's Sergio Perez will start the race in 16th place, out in Q1, unable to set a representative lap time, traffic getting in the way, cars not leaving the pit lane quick enough, and 16th place, crikey, as Sergio got some work to do tomorrow on a track that is super difficult to overtake. And just like Sergio, Sebastian Vettel also has got a lot of work to do, completely blocked on his final flying lap by the two Haas cars, Schumacher 19th and Mazepin P20, and Robert Kubica, a big surprise, who took part in qualifying today due to Kimi Raikkonen testing positive for COVID-19, and not a bad job at all for Kubica, sees him in 18th place and not too far off making it through to Q2. But our qualifying rundown then. 10 teams, plenty of stories. But Red Bull Racing, it's another day of mixed fortunes. Pole position for Max Verstappen, his first ever home Grand Prix. That's exactly what he would have been hoping for. He will be chuffed with today's results. But with his teammate in 16th place, how does that play out tomorrow? Of course, we're going to find out in less than 24 hours time, but on a circuit we've not raced at in 35 years, a track that uses the exact same asphalt as Silverstone and Paul Ricard, two circuits that this season really struggled with tyre abrasion. How is that going to play into the race? And if we see a 2-stop, I doubt a 3-stop, but you never know. How does it come into play with Perez way down the order in 16th place? Sergio will be very much focusing on his own race, trying to claw back the points. And with two Mercedes in the mix tomorrow, second and third, Max is going to hope that he has a boss of a performance. We've already seen him do it on countless occasions so far this season. However, with Mercedes having two options, two cars that could potentially, going on opposing strategies, maybe leave Bottas out that little bit longer and block Verstappen a little bit, maybe leave Hamilton to do an overcut or one stop, they've got options. They can do different things with each car. It's a little bit different for Red Bull, not only due to the fact that Sergio is 16th, but also Pierre Gasly. And Gasly so far this year has been great. He's been awesome in that midfield fight, and I really do think is capable of doing great things in a Red Bull car. But what an opportunity, what a unique opportunity this weekend to fight the two Mercedes, to try and chuck it down the inside of Valtteri Bottas at turn 1, or at least make a move at some point. Give Red Bull the options, give Red Bull the upper hand, leave Hamilton in a bit of a no man's land, just like Verstappen will be on terms of strategy, and ultimately give us all what we want to see, that Hamilton and Verstappen fight igniting once again. But Red Bull, mixed fortunes, Perez will be kicking himself. Mercedes, I think, will be very happy. Their result today, second and third, is okay. They would have loved pole position. And Hamilton, didn't he come close on that final lap? Where did that pace come from? I'm not too sure. And of course, missing second practice yesterday with that engine failure. No penalties, by the way, carrying into the race, but missing those crucial laps to try and learn a circuit like this, where none of the drivers have practiced really for over 10 years. To come out with a lap like that is very, very special indeed. And for Bottas, who was comfortably in front of the midfield, that's much better from Valtteri. That is what we've been expecting all season long and not seen often enough. They will be very happy that Perez is 16th. They will know there's a chance tomorrow to win the Grand Prix. But again, Bottas needs to stay in front of Gasly, needs to be in the fight. But of course, the main show, Hamilton versus Verstappen, I cannot wait. Gasly, I mentioned him a moment ago. What an opportunity to prove to Red Bull what he can bring to their team. But once again, AlphaTauri doing a cracking job in front of the Ferraris, in front of the McLarens. You can't ask for much more from Pierre Gasly. And Yuki Tsunoda, bless him, it's been a very up and down season. I think the fact that he's not found the barriers yet on a circuit like Zandvoort is very commendable, and not being able to set that final lap in Q2, finishing all the way down in 15th, isn't really his fault, and at least he's not out in Q1 and in front of Sergio Perez this time around. 5th and 6th for Ferrari, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I wonder how they're feeling with this one. It's a great result, and they know their proper fight this year is with McLaren, and both cars comfortably in the points, comfortably inside that top 10. Ricciardo 10th, Norris 13th. They've got a great chance to not only get in front of McLaren, but build that little bit of a buffer. Keep their fingers crossed that if anything happens up ahead, a collision, a retirement, whatever, they may have an opportunity to score big. And just like Mercedes, Ferrari will have the luxury of having two cars in that top 10, two cars that can do alternating strategies, put pressure on Gasly, maybe even Valtteri Bottas, depending on how the first few laps unfold and if Valtteri moves into that midfield fight. And I'm optimistic they could have a good day. A final note as well, Carlos Sainz having a huge crash in final practice. A great job getting that car fixed in time for qualifying. And a great job getting it into Q3 and 6th place. So well done Ferrari. Hopefully for them, they can have a great day tomorrow. Alfa Romeo aren't normally this high. 7th place for Antonio Giovinazzi, a driver whose seat, his contract, is under doubt for next season. But it's been a real roller coaster for Gio this year. Saturdays have been great. For me, has been one of the best drivers on a Saturday in qualifying all year long. He's been that good. The issue for him, and I think the bigger picture for him tomorrow, is the race. We've seen him on those race starts fall backwards behind Kimi Räikkönen and eventually finish behind his teammate and has only scored that 1 point so far this year. This weekend though, with Robert Kubica, who, by the way, did a great job of being a super sub this weekend with no running on Friday practice and very little running so far in this season's car, to finish 18th and again less than a second off Q2, I think is very, very commendable. However, if we just quickly step back to Giovinazzi, this is a weekend where he gets to prove to the team what it will be like next season if he's the team leader. And if tomorrow we see a repeat of what we've seen on many occasions this year, slipping backwards in the race, not quite able to hold on to points, I think the team will be a little bit disappointed and those question marks won't go away anytime soon. I'm excited to see what he can do because today he was brilliant. But again, if we're following the trend of the season so far, I'm slightly hesitant to get too excited about points just yet for Giovinazzi. Ocon 9th, Alonso P10, not a bad job at all for Alpine today. It's not very often we see both cars make it through to Q3. The team in their post-race or post-qualifying comments were apprehensive about the race tomorrow. They know there's a real threat from the likes of Norris, Stroll, even Russell on that alternate strategy. But just like everyone else in that midfield, they're realistic. They know track position will be king tomorrow, and just like Ferrari, just like Mercedes, two cars together. First of all, keep it clean into turn 1, boys, but after that, having two cars very close to each other on circuit could mean good opportunities come their way in the race. 10th for Ricciardo, he's in front of teammate Norris, but 13th for Lando spells a disappointing day for McLaren. Ferrari, as I mentioned earlier, comfortably in front of the papaya cars today. It's very much a change of vibe this weekend for McLaren, and what I mean by that is we're so used to them having difficult practices but finding that pace in qualifying, fighting for the top 5, even the top 3 positions on many occasions this year. For Ricciardo, I think Q3's not a bad job. For Norris, he will be frustrated, never quite found that ultimate pace so far in the weekend. However, that final asterisk I will put with McLaren, not for the first time this season. Points are on Sunday. They've got one car in the points. They've got a very quick car, especially on that alternate strategy you all know I love so much. So don't discount them just yet. We know how good Lando's been this year. We know how good Daniel Ricciardo can be. And actually post-summer break appears to have re-found that bit of mojo, bit of confidence in the car. Not that we did many laps in Spa whatsoever, and I really do believe they have a good chance of points tomorrow if the race comes their way and if indeed the alternate strategy is the way to go. Russell and Latifi, 11th and 14th. I can't really expand on what I said earlier. It's a great result on paper. If you came into the weekend and said Williams, G-Russ, 11th, Latifi getting into Q2 again for the second weekend in a row, they're going to bite your arm off. They're going to absolutely love that. However, two big incidents. First of all, George Russell at the end of Q2, then Latifi just after at the end of Q2. Two big red flag incidents. Will there be penalties tomorrow? I doubt it. However, Latifi did hit the wall extremely hard. That one could be a new gearbox and could be a pit lane start, depending on what they can find out overnight. Q3 was on the table, but again, Just like McLaren, that alternate strategy could pay dividends if things go their way in the race tomorrow. And our final two teams, Aston Martin and Haas, getting caught up in all kinds of drama. First up, Lance Stroll. It's a very, very easy one to do because he got through to Q2 but was unable to do a real lap because of those two red flags. However, being P12 is a great chance for points tomorrow, and his main focus at the moment really is, yes, to score points, but also to beat his teammate. And that's really where the Aston Martin and Haas drama really begins. Of course, we've got an ongoing investigation over Nikita Mazepin, Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, with Vettel on that flying lap. However, with both of the Haas cars squabbling over track position, Mazepin saying it was his turn to be the lead car. Schumacher had overtaken Mazepin earlier on in the lap. Nikita wanted to take the position back, did it in a stupid place through the final corner, not looking that Vettel was coming behind in the mirrors. Chaos. Poor communication again from the Haas board. It's something we have said for years now. It's just not good enough. I'm sure it's going to be some kind of penalty. If it's not a grid penalty, because it can't really be, with them being 19th and 20th, it's got to be points, it's got to be fines. This happens far too regular, and for Seb, that's killed his qualifying. That has ruined his qualifying. 17th place on a circuit that's so difficult to overtake. It's so unlucky for Seb, but it's very disappointing yet again from the Haas team. Communication needs to be better, especially when you've got rookie drivers, especially on a circuit like Zandvoort. But just before we end today's video, let's end things on a slightly lighter note, shall we? Driver of the day and ones to watch. Several candidates for driver of the day. Verstappen, of course, Hamilton, Gasly as well. But I'm going to give it to Antonio Giovinazzi. Many times this year, he's been so close to getting it. But George Russell or Gasly or whoever has just pipped him. Credit where credit's due today. 7th place on a weekend. He needed to step up for the team. He's got the added pressure of not knowing what his future is. Q3 in an Alfa Romeo. That's a great job. Giovinazzi, my driver of the day, and ones to watch for the race tomorrow. Lando Norris out in Q2. He's got a great car, a great chance on the alternate strategy to score points. Sebastian Vettel out in Q1. What can he do? What kind of driving are we going to see from Seb? Could it be similar to Monaco with a cheeky overcut strategy? Giovinazzi, who's driving for his career, and of course, my driver of the day anyway, and your racing reviews. Ones to watch for the race tomorrow, of course, is Sergio Perez. A stinker of a day today. He's in many of our fantasy teams, and Red Bull likewise needs some return. No points at all in the last 3 races. Are we going to see it for a 4th? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but that is it from me. I was going to say here in the Netherlands, but we go racing tomorrow and I cannot wait. What a track, what a venue, what a grid for the race tomorrow. Thank you all very much for watching. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.